The second episode that we were able to do when we were down in Vegas with Agent Academy was interview Jace Gillies. Now, I think I said his name correct. We made a joke about it at the beginning, but he was fantastic. He's actually an agent from Utah that we've been trying to connect with for a few weeks, and it's weird how your schedules, when you're kind of moving forward in a positive direction, seem to link up with other people that is moving forward in a positive direction. We had a chance to sit down with Jace and talk through. I think he's on pace for like 60 to 75 transactions this year. Absolute rock star, crushes it, and he gives a lot of great insight into what he does to stay balanced and to what he does to stay rooted. So I'm super excited for you guys to hear this episode with Jace. Here we go.
I got goals to chase, I got roads to pave. Not yet where I want to be, but I got close today.
Dude, I am jealous of the operation here. This is
Dude,
sick.
it's been a long time in the making.
On these dreams like I didn't sleep today.
This is a good one. Realtors are overpaid clowns.
No matter how much I fight this, I'm holding tight like a vice grip.
Because I have harmony within business and life.
Only plus I don't mind this, I don't have time because I'm timeless. Yeah.
How have you felt about the convention so far?
It's been great.
What have you picked up the most?
If you want to succeed, it's just going back to your database.
Yeah.
Seriously. Like, there's people overcomplicate real estate. But if you just go back to your database, especially with the shifting market, that's how you're going to own it.
How do you feel about it? The market and where
excited.
it's going?
So excited.
Dude, I am too. Like, I've had a lot of people like freaking out, and I'm like, no, listen, any clown ass could have sold houses in the last 2 years and made money. Like, it was really hard, I think, over the last 2 years to tell who was good and who was just a product of the market.
Absolutely.
And like, I'm stoked. Like 2020, prime COVID, like my best month ever, I sold, it was 41 homes in April of 2020.
Goodness.
Literally like the month after COVID hit, because everyone else backed off, and I was like, oh, I can sell this. Like, and it was my best month ever. So I think I probably, and that's it. The top producers that we interview and that we talk to have a very similar feel as you do to this, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I'm just excited because I see it as taking market share.
Yeah.
I know I'm not going to be the one that fails or backs out, because I'm serious about it and I treat it as a business. Like, this is what I want to do forever. So,
well, and we're going to get into that in a minute, but we're super stoked to have you on the show. The title of the show is called "Who's Your Agent?" And that question of like, who is your agent going in? I think in the next 18 months is going to be a hotly debated topic, because people for the first time ever are going to have to be able to answer that question, and they're not just going to let the market answer it for them. So we're super excited to have you on the show.
Awesome.
We want to start though where we always start, is at the beginning, where you were at before real estate, what your life looked like, why you moved into real estate. So kind of back us up. You said you've been in it for how long now?
This is my 4th year.
Okay, so year 4, you're 27.
Yep.
You got 3 kids.
Yes.
You're married.
Yep.
Your in-laws, I'm just kidding. We're not going to get into in-laws. Been married. You're living your life. So what did it look like 4 or 5 years ago? 4.5 or 5 years ago?
Yeah. So I got married pretty young.
How old were you?
I was 21.
Okay. That's young even in Utah.
Yeah. That's just what we do there apparently. So we got married pretty young, and I actually didn't know what I wanted to be. I was pretty, I thought I wanted to be a firefighter. I had a pretty good gig.
Where did that come from?
I had a friend that his dad was the chief in our town of Kaysville.
Okay.
And there was like 1,000 applicants for one spot, and he was going to give it to me. And I always I don't know, every time I saw a fire truck growing up, I was like, those guys are awesome. I wanted to go lift weights, play Xbox with the guys, and then go save a life type thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I did that.
And you decided to become a realtor.
I decided to become a realtor, yeah. I'm super bad with blood, so as I looked more into it,
how far down the firefighter path did you go?
Not far.
Okay.
The moment there was blood, I'm out.
You're like, this ain't it. Like, you're like, I didn't know that this was going to be part of the job.
Yeah, there's like no fires. It was all blood. So, so I did that. But at that point,
you were how old? Sorry.
I was 22.
Okay.
After I didn't want to be that, I just had to get a job to provide for my wife, and we were expecting a baby coming. It was about a year into our marriage. So I worked at a warehouse of an office supply company in Bountiful, Utah.
Were you going to school at this time, or were you doing anything like that?
No, so I tried the school thing. I mean, junior high school, I failed everything.
Why? I'm curious now.
Yeah.
And Tim and I talked about this on his episode.
Yeah.
We've talked about it a lot. We even talked about it with Joe before you. This I don't want to say that real estate attracts people that didn't do well in school.
Yeah.
but it is very interesting to me that the amount of top producers that we are interviewing that didn't do very well in school.
Yeah.
And like I now I'm like hell bent on asking this question because I think that it can be hope for people maybe that aren't doing well in school. Like I know for me, I struggled, and I don't know if it's like I didn't see the purpose. But I struggled with it. So now I have to ask.
Yeah. So I think.
Wait, what did you get on the ACT?
Oh, like a 16.
Okay,
like
I think that's what I got a 17. Yeah.
Like so bad.
Yeah.
I think it was just because I mean, even through when I was failing in junior high, even my parents thought something was wrong, but I was choosing not to do school. I was always, I mean, I don't want to say diagnosed. I think everyone has ADD, but I had it like severely where they put me on medication and everything. But I think I just had a super big imagination to where I'm in class and I'm thinking about bigger things than school. And I went there just to play sports and to have friends. So I truly didn't care about school because I knew I didn't want to go to college, as bad as that sounds. I didn't know what I was going to do though. So
well, yeah. Then it's tough when everybody's like, "Hey, you got to really do well on this test so that you can get to school." And you're like, "Listen, I'm not going to college like this. I might try, but this ain't it."
Exactly. So just never. I chose not to apply myself in it just because it wasn't something I was passionate about.
Did you try college?
Yeah, I went for one day. So I went to Slick to play rugby. So I played rugby there, but went there to do generals. Didn't even
You
start.
say I went there. You went there for a day.
A day, yeah. So I walked in there and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing
Yeah, at
this.
what point were you like, this ain't it?
Just literally sitting down in a class. I literally walked out. I'm like, I'm done. But I continued to play rugby there for 2 years with a fake student ID, which was great.
Wow.
So
okay.
that was a good time.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I enrolled 3 times.
Really?
I probably dropped 15 to 20 grand trying to convince myself to go to school because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
Jace.
that's what you're told to do.
Yeah, that's what you're. And my dad didn't go to college, so he wasn't like pushing it. Yeah. But it was definitely. I would say like when I broke away from school for the last time, and it was just like, okay, it was I had made my first like $10,000 paycheck. Yeah. I was doing mortgages at the time. And I was like, you know what? I don't love mortgages. I don't love sitting here crunching numbers all day and chasing bank statement pages and living that life. But I was like, you know what? I like it a hell of a lot more for this amount of money than I do going to school for nothing. So I tried snow for a semester. I tried UVU for 2 semesters, and I made it a week each time. So I think I probably have a total of maybe 2.5 weeks done. Nice. In school. For me, like I came home, I went and did my mission, I came home and they put me back, and I think it was like math 910, which meant that I had to take math 910, math 950, and then math 1010 before like it would start counting towards college. And I was like, this, like I can't, like I'll figure something out, but this ain't it.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I never was meant for school, really. I just knew that at a very young age.
Yeah. So then school didn't work out, firefighting didn't work out.
Yeah, so I worked.
You're in a warehouse job.
In a warehouse
you
job.
got a baby coming.
Yeah, so I was at the time. I was working. I mean, it was Monday through Saturday, probably 9 to 10 hours a day there, and I was making like $1,700 to $1,800 a month, doing all that hard work.
Which, as like an 18-year-old kid, you can probably figure that out. Like you can make that work. With a wife and a baby on the way,
it was awful.
You start feeling a certain way.
Yeah, it was depressing. Seriously, I was so unhappy there. While I was there, I have a family friend and my aunt and uncle who are real estate agents in like LA and the surrounding areas there. They just convinced me. They just one day came up and said, "Hey, I think you'd be really good at real estate."
What do your parents do?
My dad is a business consultant for Chase Bank, so he went to school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then my mom works for
Were
the
they
airlines.
bummed when you said school wasn't it? Or were they just like, writing was on the wall? They're like, hey, you made it further than we thought you would.
Yeah, seriously. I think they already knew it wasn't for me. They actually never really, my dad wanted me to be in sales my whole life because of just my personality growing up and very outgoing and all that. So I don't think they ever planned on me going to school. Like, I don't think they really even expected it. So, and I could be very wrong if I let them down. I'm sorry.
No, now that you have kids, I'm sure that there's things where you realize, like, as a dad, you're like, oh yeah, no, my parents knew I was going to be shit in school. Like they knew that going in. Like they knew me better than I did.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So then you talk to your aunt and uncle that are slinging deals, and you're like, okay, that's the life for me now.
Yeah. So the main thing why I wanted to get in real estate and what I saw about their lifestyle and what I noticed all growing up is they were like, I always wanted to be a family guy. Like, family's huge to me, and they were always there for everything. They didn't have to, tell a boss hey, can I go on a vacation or can I go to my daughter's dance recital or whatnot? So that was like literally one of the factors of, I can create my own schedule. If I work hard, I can get paid for as hard as I work, but I can always be there for my family no matter what, which I couldn't do at my last job. Like you either had to choose, 4th of July off or Christmas off in a freaking warehouse. You know what I mean? That was awful. So, they kind of had me do that. And so I enrolled in, the real estate school. It took me a whole year.
Wow.
Because again, back to not being good at school, like I go into a test and I start thinking about Star Wars, or seriously, just my mind's like crazy like that. But it took me a whole year because I was still working Monday through Saturday, 9 hours a day.
So you were what, 22, 23 at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So doing that. And then after
you take a year to pass.
It took me a year to pass, so I didn't retain anything.
Well, let's be honest. Do you think you could go pass the real estate test today? If I put
no way.
I don't think I could either.
Yeah,
my wife just went through all the classes, and
yeah.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I moved 350 deals in the last 2 years, and she would ask me a question. I'm like, I have no clue.
No, yeah.
I have no idea what you even just asked me.
Yeah, there's no way. So it took me 5 times. The 5th time, if I failed, I would have to redo real estate school because it was a year. So I walked out. The lady said I passed by 1, and I was like, just give me the papers. I'm out of here, and I'm gonna go start.
Are you better under pressure? Is that what that is?
Maybe. I don't know. I do enjoy like a challenge and pressure. I kind of thrive in those moments. So I didn't realize it at the time, but I think so.
So then you're a freshly minted agent.
Yep.
You live where at this point?
We live in Layton.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you have your license and now it's go time.
Yep.
Do you quit the warehouse job? Do you keep it? Like, what does that look like?
So I quit altogether.
You're like, I'm out. I can at least make $1,800.
Yeah. I'm like that. Yeah.
You had a kid at this point though.
Yeah. So we had our first kid.
How scared were you?
Terrified.
Yeah.
Like
I feel so lucky, and I want to get your take on it. But I feel so lucky that I was doing mortgages for 3 years, made a decent amount of money, and then I switched into real estate. And I didn't even really think about what that switch would look like or feel like because I didn't have kids. I was barely married.
Yeah.
But at that point, when it's just you and your wife, you can figure it out.
Yeah.
Right? You can eat a can of beans instead of chicken for dinner or something.
Yeah.
You can make it work if you need to. But as soon as that kid's there, it's a different world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you were scared.
I was terrified, yeah. But I knew I had to do it, right? So I think I'm forever grateful that I quit and then went right into it because, you know how they say like burn the boats and take the island type thing. So
that's the biggest piece of advice, and it's a really tough piece of advice to give people.
Yeah.
But if you're a part-time agent trying to figure out how to make it work, it's not even. The reason that I'm asking all these questions, right, is because it all goes to show the type of business that you've built and why a buyer or a seller should choose to work with you.
Yeah.
Because all of this plays into how you operate and how you run your day-to-day business.
Yep.
And that's what I think a lot of part-time agents don't understand is what they're actually up against. Yeah. Not only are you up against the market, not only are you up against the changes that are happening, you're up against Jace, who's doing this every single day, day in, day out. You're up against Boo Maddox that's doing this every single day in and day out. And this is all we do.
Yeah.
And not that you can't be successful as a part-time agent, but the competition that you are up against.
Absolutely.
Is in it very much full time.
Yes, I agree.
So kudos to you for making that jump, even though I'm sure it was scary.
Yeah.
So then what does that first year look like? You quit. Your wife, I'm probably sure, is looking at you like, what the actual hell are we doing? This is kind of stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. So she was scared, but
was she working?
She was at a hotel at the time. But I told her I was going to have her out of there in a couple months. So we had our bills due that month, right? So I went all in. My first deal was my first week in real estate from her, a referral from the hotel. So I put a house under contract in the first few days, did it completely wrong, right? And so I was solo for a day, and that's kind of where I found Spring Benson.
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Spring Benson, right? And joined her, and I've been there ever since. But like, I really didn't know what I was doing, but joined her, ended up doing 25 deals my first year.
Can we put that into perspective really quick? How many deals does the average agent do in a year?
4. Yeah.
3.7, I think, is the exact number if we're getting technical.
Absolutely.
What do you think you did in that very first year to, what is that, 5 times
Yeah.
what the average is? A little bit more than that?
I asked her, who was in my eyes probably the only top producer I knew because I was so new. I asked
you didn't
her,
have mentors, you didn't have
Nothing,
anything
yeah.
like that jumping in.
Yeah, so I was just like, hey, can you just tell me exactly what I need to do? I want to be a top producer. This is the career I want to be in.
And she's very direct, so I'm sure
Very
that she
direct.
told you.
Yeah.
Most people don't take it and run with it, though, I'm guessing.
Yeah, she didn't. So she literally just said, prospect in the morning for 3 hours, get on the phones, and then if you don't have anything the rest of the day, just stay on the phones and be on social media and stuff like that. So my first day on the team, I noticed no agents were really doing that, and the team was very different than what it is now, but there's like 7 of us or something. But I'm like, okay, everyone at this office at KW at the time, no one's there early, so I just showed up before anyone else. I got on the phones before anyone else. I dressed better than everyone else and just did that, and I still do that I'm still doing that same thing. So I think that's what set me apart is and if you know me, I try to oversimplify the business, and that's what I did from the day one is I noticed agents, even years into it, were chasing deals or stressed out of their minds and doing all this crazy stuff where I'm like, it really is just talking to people. Like, the more people I can talk to.
It's more than that, because a big part of it too, I think, is taking care of the things that you can't or that you can control ahead of time.
Absolutely.
Right? Like for me, in my first couple of years, I sat a model home. Usually we would rotate and we would do like 2 to 3 days a week. I would pick up model home shifts from everybody that I possibly could. Right? I literally sat a model home, I think, every day for 3 years straight, except for Sundays. Yeah. Monday through Saturday, I was there 30 minutes early and I was there 30 minutes late, just in case someone popped by. Yeah. The more and more of these top producers that I haven't even told this story before, but I was so crazy. Like, I would call agents that I knew didn't like sitting in model homes, and I would say, hey, Jace, I have it in my phone that I was supposed to cover for somebody today, and I don't remember who it was. Was I supposed to cover for you?
That's awesome.
And do you know what everybody would say?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, actually it was, because they're not trying to go sit the model home.
Yeah.
Right, but I would do that because like that was where I would go and do my work. That's where I would go and do it. But the amount of people that we interview that was like the very first step that they took in this business was to treat it like that. Yeah. It is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then in that first year, you're cranking out deals. What was different than you thought it was going to be?
I thought more people would be working. Like, I know that sounds really bad. I'm not throwing agents under, but I thought I would be like in a room with a bunch
Wolf
of people.
of Wall Street type vibe.
Like everyone's in it, like a big sales floor, just slinging deals and stuff. But that first year, and again, the team was very different. I was just kind of put myself in a little room and was calling, and then I was literally adding mutual friends on Facebook all day till Facebook kicked me off. And then when they added me back, I just had a script out sending them. So I was doing that on one screen while I was on like a dialer. So I was just.
Do you worry about pissing people off? Because that's always the go-to.
Zero.
How do you think you get over that? Because my opinion is that like if they get mad because of what I posted on Instagram, if they get mad because of what I posted on Facebook, they weren't going to buy a house from me. Yeah. And I also, everything that I try to do is to create value for who my client is. Yeah. And if I think that there's a lot of people that just kind of post randomly, kind of talk randomly, and they're not doing it from a value add standpoint, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't. I'm a believer in just being yourself, and if someone gets offended for some reason, then I probably wouldn't want to work with them either, right? So, if you follow me on social media, I will post my political views, I'll post my religious views, Star Wars stuff that I love, or I don't care. I'm just believing being myself, and being out there and being in front of people. To where again, if they don't like that, then that's on them, not me, right?
What was it like working with clients in that first year? You said that you kind of did the first deal wrong. Yeah. What did it look like after that? Like what kind of things did you put into place to change that?
Just training, right? I thought my personality and charisma can get me so far, which it did. But the moment I realized I needed to actually like perfect my skills and my training, that's when I started implementing that, and that's when my business just took off. Because your personality can only get you so far. So that first deal, it was basically handed to me by my wife, right? To where the deals after that, because that was so messy, I was extra careful about every deal and making sure my team leads were like reviewing every offer, was walking me through until I got it myself.
Was there a certain level of desperation that you had in that first year to make it work?
I would say, yeah, probably. I think everyone kind of is desperate to make it work because you hear like you won't make it past your first 2 years or 90% fell.
Well, the reason I ask you that because I'm trying to set you up for the next question.
Yes.
You're now 4 years in. You're on pace to do 4x almost the production that you did in year one. So, which impressive. Congratulations on that.
Appreciate it.
Now what's your motivation? Because it's not the same, right? And mine isn't either, right? I'm not knocking you for it. I would love to hear that.
Yeah, my motivation now is to, outside of like personal stuff, like growing wealth for my family and doing all that, is I want to create more leaders, right? So I've worked up to become a leader on our team to where I'm motivated to show people how to do the same thing I did. Because I believe if I can do it, literally anyone on earth can do it. Because
we use that, like that's a go-to for us here. It's like I love being that person where people look at like, okay, if Boo can start a podcast, I can too. Great. Let me teach you how to, like, I will tell you anything that I have learned from this, because I don't think that there's any secrets, and I think that you get better by helping others, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of my motivation now, is because I don't want to be in production forever. I would love to train agents and help grow our organization.
Production's exhausting.
It is.
Production is exhausting, especially if you take it seriously.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's very tiring. So I think that's kind of my motivation now. I mean, first year was to make more than $1,700 a month, right? Now it's to obviously make a lot of money and be successful for my wife and kids and for older Jace in the future. But I want to create other leaders as well.
So now you're 4 years in. You've done how many transactions, ballpark?
I'm at 40 right now.
So sorry, in the last 4 years, how many total? 150 to 200, somewhere in there.
In between there, yeah.
What is different about your business than it was in year one? How is your approach different?
I take it serious. I take myself serious. Again, my first year.
What does that look like? Because I'm sure in that first year there was a level of desperation, but you were all in, right? You were in early. You were. Yeah. How is that? How manifesting? Is that the right word? Like, how does that manifest in your business now?
Yeah, I think my first year I was serious to a point to where, like, I knew I was going to be here, but I wasn't serious about training and getting better. I just knew my personality was getting me somewhere. I would have a good month, and then I wouldn't, and then I'll have a good month, and I wouldn't.
Yeah, the waves are tough at the very beginning.
Yeah, I was literally the best roller coaster ever invented. It would be the best amusement park. But what's different now is when I do good, I just continue to have the pedal to the metal and still do the same small things every day. So when I don't want to do it, I'm going to do it. When I want to do it, I'm doing it. When I'm succeeding, I'm doing it, right? So now it's just a lot more consistent because I take myself way more serious. Rather than like, oh, I made more money in a month than I ever have. I can, step back, go on a vacation with my wife, which is great. Like, not saying I can't do those things, but now it's like I can't be in that anymore if I really want to make it far in this industry.
Yeah,
I have to be consistent.
Well, and there's a bunch of reasons why it's important to get all of this information, but I think ultimately the biggest reason is because the reason that we do this is to support clients, is to be able to work with our clients at the highest level possible. Yeah. And all of the top producers that we've had on this show so far, that is like the very clear thing that they all understand, is that this is for the clients that I work with. Yeah. Walk us through, what does it look like? What does it feel like to work with you on a transaction?
Yeah, I would say the very first thing is it's super fun, right? So a lot of people, before they meet me, they get to know me through my social media before they meet me, to where they're comfortable to approach me, because I'm just very me on there, to where when we meet, I want these people to look at me as, they look at their lawyer or their doctor, right? If you're sick, you know what doctor you're calling. If you're getting sued, which is hopefully never, exactly.
It happened one time, but they threw it out. Don't worry about it. My E&O took care of it.
That's awesome, right?
Oh.
So that's how I want to be looked at. And I believe we're in an industry that's become far too transactional, to where people are just chasing a dollar, to where especially
in the last 2 years, especially in the last 2 years, it does not matter why you were moving or what you were moving to. It was, can you go multiple offers and highest and best?
Yeah. Yeah. So I believe if, the reason, like, a lot of credit I give to the success I have seen is because I just believe in taking care of people first, and that work will naturally take care of me. So when I meet someone, not only do we become seriously best friends, like, you can talk to all my clients, where that's some of my best relationships, where they're coming to my birthday parties, I'm going to their kids. Like, we become friends, because I don't want to just be your guy and then you close and I'm gone. We're literally, like, you meet me, you work with me, we're literally friends for life, and you're never going to go to anyone else ever, because it's just a super, super good experience. It's fun, but at the same time, it's very professional, and I will always get the job done better than anyone else.
Yeah. Would you say that you are intense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is that good for clients, or is that bad for clients?
I'll say it's good. Yeah. To a point.
What do you think that point, right? And there's a level, honesty is not the right word, but there's a level of, like, reality that I think the best agents are able to show clients. They're able to show what the reality of the market is. They're able to to talk through what you can realistically get for your house. Not just saying, hey, no, I think you can get 700,000 for this house that's worth 675 because that's their only chance of getting hired. It's the same reason why I'm not trying to bash I'm not trying to bash discount agents, but if that's your shtick, if that's the reason why somebody should work with you is because you'll do it for cheaper than, if you'll do it for cheaper than Jace will, that's not a reason why somebody should ever work with you. Yeah. It should be like that level to be able to work through the process with somebody.
Excuse me. Yes, I agree on that. Absolutely.
One of the things that I always tell people whenever they come into the model home, whenever they're coming in to look for anything, I tell them, if you're going to, even if you don't buy a house from me, just buy something. Yeah. I'm big on creating value for free with no expectations in return for whoever we're talking to. Yeah. What advice, in a shifting market, buyer, seller, not necessarily why they should work with you specifically, but what piece of advice should everybody that's listening to this heed right now?
Yeah, I would say there's so much going around on what the market is or isn't. There's a lot of fear with, media saying this, that about the economy. What I put out in my marketing or my content is let's just sit down. It's like you do not need to commit to me if I'm not your agent, whatever. But let's sit down with your family. Let's lay out literally every option for you, what your options are. Create a strategy catered to your needs, your time frame, whether that's now or in 6 years. Give you all the right information about the market. And then at the end of the day, you guys can decide if now is a good time for you to make a move or not, right? To really put them in the best position to make the best decision rather than just hearing this or that and deciding not to. That's something I found early on too, is a lot of people thought they couldn't sell or buy. Yeah. But we meet and I give them the right information, like the reality of the market, and they end up, setting themselves up for financial success every time.
So what would you say is the reality of the market currently? Obviously, it's very different than it was 6 months ago. Yeah. We kick everybody in the shins on the show that comes in talking about how the market is shifting. No, it has shifted, right? Bill came on and dropped a couple of bombs on us a couple of weeks ago about the market and what it looks like. What are you actively advising people on right now? You're going to, a little bit of background, Jace is going to sell somewhere between how many houses this year?
75 to 100.
So that's a shit ton, right? You obviously have to be very in tune with what the market's doing, with where it's going, and the advice that you're giving people right now. Yeah. So when somebody asks, is now a good time to buy a house?
Yeah, I say it is. This is exactly what we wanted the last couple of years, right? There was, everyone knows the last couple of years we had 20 plus offers on a house and people guaranteeing money over appraisal or whatnot. Everyone wanted more inventory. So what I tell people, if you've been thinking about buying the last 2 years or you missed out the last, couple of years, now is super awesome. I don't think we're ever going to see 2% interest rates or 3% really. That's the first.
Nobody talks about that, but
no one does, yeah.
But I think it's because appreciation just absolutely dominated the headlines for the last 24 months. Yeah. The amount that prices were going up was just crazy. Yeah. And so interest rates at 2.5% or 2.875% for investors, nobody was discussing it.
No one. And that's only happened once in the history of the U.S., right? So if you look at the grand perspective of things, interest rates at mid-fives is actually historically low. That's actually freaking amazing, right? So just educating people on that to where you're not having to go crazy over. All my clients are getting asking or a little bit above right now, or even below.
Concessions.
Right, yeah.
We haven't used that word in a long time.
They're getting their closing costs paid for right now. This is exactly what they wanted. And in reality, the interest rates are actually pretty freaking good. Right?
Relative.
Relative, yeah.
What about for sellers? Obviously, inventory's up. Days on market is longer. Is now still a good time to sell a house?
Absolutely. There's price cuts going on, but values are not going down. They're going to be going up for the next 5 years, right? So are as many buyers coming to the house? No, but values are still going up to where, realistically, you can sell your house for more than you will ever owning the house or in the time frame that you've owned it.
Well, yeah, and then you're seeing stuff like days on market increasing. It's like what we just talked about with interest rates, though. Like, yes, a 4%, a 4.5%, a 5%, a 6% interest rate feels really, really high relative to 3%, but relative to 8.5% or 9%, which is the 15-year average, a 5.5% feels great.
Absolutely.
Days on market. You're obviously in a market that's a little bit north of where I'm at, but we were looking at 4 to 6 days on average market for a year and a half. Yeah, that's not realistic. So if it doubles, if it triples, if it quadruples and goes to 15 or 20 days on market, we're still not in what I would say a quote unquote normal market.
Yeah. there's markets where houses are on the market for 5-6 months. You know what I mean? So
especially like at
relative,
the
again,
luxury
it's
price point too.
yeah. I mean, it's houses are still selling quick, just not as quick when we're in kind of that la la land the last couple of years. But it's still we're in a shifted market. It's still really good for both. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's what people need to have the conversation on is what is it shifting to? It's shifting to a normal market. It's
just
shifting,
normalizing.
Yeah, it's shifting to a normal market because what we've been living in for the last 2 years is not that either.
No, yeah, we were in the weird, not normal market. Just going back to normal is all it is. But people are just kind of unnecessarily tripping out about it.
So what's the best way for someone to get a hold of you? If they're thinking, who's my agent, and they're thinking Jace, what's the best way?
Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, Facebook or Instagram for sure.
Okay, and we'll link all your socials. But if anybody is looking to buy or sell a house, Jace absolutely crushes it. Like I can't tell you guys enough. You have to work with somebody. We talked about it on the show a whole bunch, and we're going to continue to talk about it. The 80-20 rule. You want to work with somebody that's in the 20% doing 80% of the business. Not because you have to work with a baller, not because you have to work with somebody that drives a BMW, but because you have to work with somebody that takes this as seriously as you do. And that's people like Jace. That's people that wake up, they prospect for 3 hours a day. They run their business like a business. They didn't get into this job to be their own boss. They got into it so that they could run their own business, which is a very different thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So congratulations to you on everything that you've built. You guys run an incredible team. You guys have an incredible organization. Super excited to get to say that I know you guys. So
thank you.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely.